Hi guys, Lewis here and welcome to this week's version of Piranha Bites. So I've decided to show some indie titles some love this week, and the ones I've read really enjoyed. One I knew I would because it's in issue 2, but first I'll point out Bunny Mask issue 1 on Aftershock. Now, gotta admit I've not heard of any of the creators, so it was a bit of a stab in the dark. Just saw the cover and went, that looks interesting. And also, Aftershock, more often than not, deliver. There's a couple of really underrated titles in recent years that I like to champion that not many people care about. So the deal with this is that so the main character on the cover, like, it starts out quite brutal. Like, so her dad is like taking a chisel to her teeth, and yeah, then a couple of people from child welfare come and investigate, and he dispatches with them, and these guys end up in a cave and just going absolutely mental and hallucinating about conspiracies and things that may or may not exist and all this, that and the other. And then you flash forward and they're all back to normal in the real world, like nothing's happened. And then this main character here meets one of her fellow captors, and then you're kind of just left wondering what happened. And that's issue 1. So yeah, that's that. And then the second issue that I'd like to highlight, because I loved issue 1 so much, Eve on Boom. So much like what I was just saying about Bunny Mask, never heard of the creators, but I gave the issue 1 a try last time and really, really liked it. In fact, so much so that this is probably the issue I was most looking forward to this week, and continues to deliver. You feel really sad, which for some reason I get out of a lot of books. In fact, actually, speaking of sad books, Sweet Tooth on Netflix, if you've not checked it out, definitely worth a crack. And yeah, we have plenty of copies of the Volume 1 if people want to check out the source material. But yeah, by all means, Eve, check it out. Follow this 11-year-old girl's struggle to save the world. It's really good. And now on to a few more honourable mentions. So the Batman Fortnite 0. Issue 1 third printing. So for those of you that missed out when the issue 1 first came out and when it came out the second time, we've got plenty of copies of that now, so anyone that wants one, we've got them in store for you. One of the best titles in recent weeks, Geiger, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. That should be enough to get you in, to be honest, otherwise I don't really know what else to say. But also, talking about Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, that kind of brings me on to my From the Vault Gold and Oldie pick. Although this is a new printing of it. So this book is Superman Last Son. And what's weird about it is it actually has 2 books in there. So the first half of the book is Superman Last Son, which is Jeff Johns with Richard Donner of the original first 2 films fame, and Adam Kubert on the art. And that's a really great story, great book in and of itself. But the latter half is a separate Superman book called Superman Brainiac. And that's by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Don't know if it's a controversial opinion or not, but I think it's the best thing Jeff Johns has ever done. A lot of people will highlight his Green Lantern work, but I normally zero in on Brainiac. It was a really seminal story to get making Superman my favourite character, basically, and also making me aware of how good Jeff Johns can be when he's at his absolute best. So yeah, definitely check that out. Heroes Reborn, finished already. Weekly title, so it's really not been out for long, but that's a 6th issue, it's done. I hope it leads to more Squadron Supreme in the main universe, but we'll see what happens, because with events sometimes the consequences don't really bear fruition. Again, not Batman, but Batman related, Joker. Every week you always have to mention something Batman, but he's the best, so don't mind doing that. But yeah, Tinian, killing it still. Last week he did a really good book called Nice House on the Lake. That's been getting rave reviews. Kind of trying to revive the horror corner of DC's line. And he's the man to do that at the moment, because most of the stuff he's putting out that is getting acclaim outside of the Batman stuff are indie horror titles. So that's clearly something he's good at and something he's interested in as well. I've yet to read this, but I can't wait to. Justice League Last Ride. I loved the first issue. Chip Zdarsky's been one of my favourite writers for a while anyway, in terms of like current output. And then, yeah, getting him on DC, where most of my favourite characters are. Big pleasure for me. And in fact, speaking of Zdarsky, more, he's still doing stuff at Marvel as well. SpiderMan, Spider's Shadow, issue 3. I've really enjoyed this so far. I normally like a What If. I'm a sucker for them. A lot of the best DC books as well, Elseworld stories, Kingdom Come, Dark Knight Returns, stuff like that. So yeah, that's been really good. He's just doing what he does best. Zdarsky's really at home with Spider-Man, I think, ever since his spectacular run that won those Eisners. Life Story, which I've said on one of these before, is my favourite thing he's ever done. Continues to churn it out. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I've heard rumours that this is actually going to lead to an extended What If line, and they're going to bring back that range. So looking forward to more of that. And I don't get to say this often, but one for the kids. Web of Spider-Man issue 1. Never heard of the creators. In fact, actually, the artist, it says Albuquerque on it, but it's not Raphael. I'm just wondering if they're related. Either way, yeah, a kid-friendly, well, some books are kid-friendly, but this one's more overtly for kids. And also, who doesn't love a bit of Spider-Man? And that's the highlights for this week. But for a full and comprehensive list, do check out our newsletter, because Dave works really hard on those. And that's about it from me, so I'll see you guys next week.
Piranha, white, white, white. Piranha, piranha, white, white, white. Piranha, piranha, piranha.